Hello, my name is Father Timothy Tighe, and this is our 123rd segment of our journey of faith, in which we're reflecting on the patriarchal stories referred to by Stephen in his speech in Acts. So we go now to our screen, and we see Rebekah's favorite son, Jacob, did not see that Joseph needed to be rescued from being used by Rachel to humiliate Leah's 6 sons. Thus Joseph was cursed to be hated by his brothers. But God wondrously transformed the curse into a blessing, which we'll see in the next segments. We go to our next screen, and we read there in Acts, and we recall the situation. Stephen spoke to Jews well educated about Jacob and Joseph. But today's believers, you and I, must study the stories more carefully to understand the power of Stephen's message and why it caused him to be stoned to death. Thus, we continue with Jacob's meeting with Esau, his twin brother, who swore to kill Jacob 20 years previously for deceiving Isaac, their father, into blessing him as the firstborn. Jacob saw Esau coming. With 400 men, he's frightened to death. So he put the maids and children first, then Leah and her children, with Rachel and Joseph last. Then he courageously went first, bowing 7 times. Esau ran to embrace him and wept as he kissed him. This was totally unexpected. Esau asked, "What did you intend by all these gifts I was given?" We remember the last segment, he sent a whole wagon load of gifts to Esau. Jacob answered, "To find favor with you." He was trying to bribe him. Esau said, "I have enough, my brother." Jacob didn't take much possessions. Esau is wealthy also. We go on to our next screen. 33:10, Jacob said, "Truly, to receive your favor and to see your face is like seeing the face of God." Oh boy, that's an exaggeration. But Jacob is really trying to win his brother Esau. He's still frightened he might kill him. But Esau is loving. Esau said, "Please, let me journey with you." And Jacob is still scared. He says, "Oh no," Jacob said, "I must go slowly for the children and the flocks." He's mistrustful. Esau then offered him some men to help him. Again, Jacob refused Esau's offer. Jacob seemed uncomfortable and mistrustful of men. Even Esau, remember, he was always in his tent with his mother. You see, he's a mother's boy. We go on to our next screen. In Genesis 34, when Hamar's son Shechem saw Dinah, Leah's daughter, she's the 7th child after the 6 brothers, he laid with her by force. Shechem then told his father Hamor, "I want her as my wife." Hamor tried to arrange a marriage. Jacob's sons responded with deceit. It's embedded in the family. It's their essence. "We'll agree only if all the males are circumcised." Then while they were still in pain, Dinah's brothers massacred all the males in Hamor's family and carted off their wealth. Then God told Jacob, "Go to Bethel." Now, I want to point out that Shechem and Bethel are close to one another, and both are in Samaria, and this later is going to be significant. We go on to our next screen. Genesis 35, God said to Jacob, "Go to Bethel, build there an altar to the God who appeared to you as you fled your brother Esau." Jacob built the altar and commanded all with him, "Rid yourselves of alien gods and purify yourselves." God appeared and he blessed Jacob. "You are no longer Jacob, but Israel." This is the 2nd or 3rd time his name is changed from Jacob to Israel. We go on to our next screen. Genesis 35, but Rachel was cursed. So he just gets the blessing, and in the same chapter, a few verses later, his wife is cursed with severe labor pains. The midwife said, "You have a son." With her last breath, Rachel named him Benoni. But Israel, Jacob's his other name, changed it to Benjamin, so he's the youngest of the 12 sons. Then Rachel died, and they buried her on the road to Bethlehem, and this is why Rachel is crying out as Herod's men killed the little babies in Bethlehem. We're up to Genesis 37. When Joseph was 17, and he's younger than all his older brothers, except for Benjamin, he tended flocks with his older brothers. Then he gave a bad report about them to his father. Who is this little guy, the little brother, who thinks he has the right to snitch on his brothers? Now, fathers usually discourage snitching on brothers. But mama's boy, Jacob didn't know himself, didn't understand men. So he did not stop Rachel from teaching Joseph to act superior and to report on his brothers. So this little guy is set up to get really in trouble. When Rachel died, Joseph kept on performing. He couldn't stop. For he did not have an identity of his own. He was always doing what his mother wanted him to do, performing for her. He didn't know who he was himself. Confused, Joseph risked his brother's hatred for Jacob's affirmation. His mother always affirmed him, and he was addicted to affirmation, which sadly Jacob gave. So he did the same thing as his wife Rachel did to this poor young fella. We go on to the next screen. Genesis 37:3. Israel loved Joseph best of all his sons, so he made him a long tunic. Now, any father who has a favorite son of many sons, he's discreet about it, and he keeps it quiet. Not Jacob. He gives him a long tunic and announces, little Lord Fauntleroy is coming. When the brothers saw Israel loved him best, they hated poor Joseph. The tunic was a sign Jacob stuck in the other sons' faces. So this long linen cloth was a wound stuck in their face. Joseph then made it worse by having a dream that he told his brothers. As we bound sheaves, my sheaf rose upright, and your sheaves surrounded my sheaf and bowed down to it. Are you to be king and rule over us? His brothers said. They hated him even more. Joseph was in dreamland, and he was sticking the dreams into his brothers' faces. And we go on to the next screen, and we see he does it again. Verse 37:9, Joseph then told them a second dream. It wasn't enough that he stuck the first dream in their face. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to me. When he told Jacob, his father, the dream, Jacob reproved him. Do you mean that I, your mother and brothers, are to bow down before you? The brothers were livid, but Jacob pondered the matter. Pondered it instead of saying he's going to get himself killed. Jacob did not understand the danger. All right, now we go to verse 13. Israel said to Joseph, go to your brothers in Shechem. See if all is well and report back, and give another report on his brothers. He's getting in more danger. We go on to the next screen. Jacob had no idea he was putting Joseph in danger. As Joseph came, they said, here comes the dreamer. Let us kill him. Reuben said, we must not take his life, just throw him into the cistern. They stripped him of the hated tunic which he had stuck in their face and threw him into the cistern. An Ishmaelite caravan came along on its way to Egypt. Judah said, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. So they sold him for 20 pieces of silver. We go on to our next screen. They sent the tunic, the hated tunic, dipped in goat's blood, to poor Israel, Jacob. He exclaimed, a beast has torn my son to pieces. He rent his clothes and he mourned many days. He refused to be consoled. He said, I will mourn my son down into Sheol. Now we reflect, Jacob felt cursed by the loss of Rachel and Joseph. But did he recall Rebekah's words? Do you remember? Let the curse be on me, just do as I tell you. Was a curse the price for deceiving and receiving the blessing and the inheritance? Did Stephen preach that a curse of blindness could come with the blessing? Was that what he was telling them, that they got so upset with him and stoned him to death? We'll see in the next segments. Thank you so much for joining us for this 123rd segment of our Journey of Faith as we are wandering strangers moving in the Middle East, and we'll see we go even further.